Good afternoon, friends. Prepared Suburbanite here. We just got back from a shopping trip to our local wholesale club, and the prices continue to go up. And I want to talk about what was just recently released from the federal government as far as the CPI goes, the Consumer Price Index, and the Producer Price Index, which came out this morning. So stick around. I've been monitoring the inflation as far as one of our most staple items that we purchase pretty much every time we go to the store, and that's eggs. We generally have eggs for breakfast. My wife uses eggs in macaroni salads and potato salads and a lot of other dishes that she does put together. So I've been tracking eggs. In January at our local wholesale club, BJ's, eggs were $2.16 a dozen. Just today, they were $3.60 a dozen. That's a 66.3% increase in the price of eggs. So, depending on the components of the CPI that affect you most, I would say that the 9%, that 9.1% that they just released is a little thin, because I don't think everybody experiences each component of the CPI in the same fashion. I don't drive as much as I used to, going back and forth to work, so my gasoline cost is fairly low. We really don't go to many places except the grocery store or church or shopping once in a while. So I'm not doing the 30-mile, 40-mile round trip to work every day, and having one vehicle now that we've retired leaves us with about half of what we were doing when we were both working and driving a 30-mile round trip back and forth to work. So that doesn't affect me as much, but the price of food, things like that stay fairly constant in our lives, that's affecting me. So if you're a working guy, gal, and you're driving 9%, yeah, gasoline's up quite a bit more than 9%. So try to keep that in mind. The other thing, the CPI came out yesterday and the PPI came out today. Now the Consumer Price Index is a look back at what happened last month, basically. And they said they were expecting it to go from 8.6, what it was the month before in May, up to maybe 8.8. All the pundits were shooting this number of 8.8. Well, it came out to 9.1, and it was somewhat unexpected, and you can tell by the reaction of the stock market that they didn't quite expect it either. But it's very interesting to look at the chart of inflation over time, and I'm going to post that right up here, and you can see the y-axis goes from 2010 to 2022, and you can see what's happened just since Fearless Joe has been our president. What the official line, I think, from the White House is, oh, that's old news, because so many things have changed so far in this month of July that things are really getting a whole lot better. The bottom line is that's bullshit. That's baloney is what that is. And I think the producer price increase, which is a forward-looking metric, looks at the wholesale price that producers pay for the components of the goods or services that they provide to you or to me or to us. And guess where that was? 11.3. And if you look at the chart, the graph here, you'll see that it's very, very parallel, but leading the consumer price index. So what it's telling me, and I'm certainly not an economist or an investment advisor or anything like that, I'm just an average Joe prepper that's looking at this and saying the consumer price index is going to continue to go up because it's going to follow the producer price index. And that's 11.3, I think, right now. That's an awful lot. It's way out of touch with what it's been for years and years and years, and it's leading for July to become even worse from a consumer standpoint of 9.1. I'm predicting we're going to see at least 9.5, if not 10. And it won't be too long before they'll be saying more than 40 years rather than just 40 years on the span of the worst inflation over time. What we can do as preppers, and I think our window gets shorter every time I look at it, is use the funds that you've got now to stock up on the things that you're going to need to keep yourself healthy, wealthy, and wise. Bottom line, simple, if you've got 10 cans of beans, pick up 2 more. If you got 100 cans of beans, pick up 10 more. My wife and I had a very short discussion just yesterday with the question being, you know, if the grid went down today and the S hit the fan right now, what are we going to need to fill in any of the gaps that we may have? And we scratched our heads a lot trying to figure out, God, we got enough flour, we got enough beans, we got enough rice, we got enough of this, we got enough of that. Spices, medical gear, medical equipment, medicines. Gee, we seem to be doing pretty good. I don't see too many big gaps. And where the big gap, I think, really does come in is water. Now, I've got a 275-gallon water tote that I use to water the lawn, to water the garden, that kind of stuff. It's driven by rainwater catchment that we catch off the roofs. I wouldn't want to use it as drinking water without really purifying it, sterilizing it, running it through filters, and really trying to make it clean. But it's going to serve as gray water. If you want to wash up in it, you certainly can. You want to flush the toilets with it, you certainly can. And I've got 2 55-gallon water barrels that are full right now with rainwater, so that we've got about 375, 380 gallons of what I'll call gray water that we can use for flushing toilets and for doing all that. Watering garden, watering lawn, washing cars if you need to, all that. Probably not going to be washing my car if the grid goes down, but water for personal use, for drinking, coffee, it's the main component in coffee, I think, washing dishes, preparing foods. We've got an awful lot of freeze-dried food. We've got a lot of stuff that we put up in cans and stuff like that. But if you want to make a meal out of it, you're going to need to add water. You want to make bread, you got to have flour, water, yeast, a little bit of sugar, salt, that kind of stuff just to make it taste good. But Water's a big component in that. I've got probably a dozen 5 and 7 gallon jugs that are full of tap water that we keep rotating out on a pretty much an annual basis. But it's regular city tap water, and it stays good for a long, long time. And it's time to rotate it out again, but that's a story for another day. I think we've got enough. Long time ago, the rule of thumb was a gallon of water per person per day. I don't think that's true anymore. I think it's more like 3 or 4 gallons per person per day if you're going to talk about beyond just drinking and maybe a little bit of washing up. You're going to need a lot more than a gallon a day per person. So with the two of us, 2 gallons a day, it ain't going to get it done. I'm figuring we're going to need at least 5 gallons per day, and I've only got about a dozen regular tap water jugs full of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to supplement with the gray water, using that to flush toilets, using that to wash up with, that kind of stuff, and try to keep the city water, I guess, the purified water, and keep that for just cooking and for drinking and making coffee and stuff like that. So today's economic news ain't good. Looking at the future, we've still got a little bit of time left that we can use to get prepared, to get our final preps taken care of before it gets so bad we're not going to be able to. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.